Hello, my name is Michael Smith and this is my life. It is Wednesday, July the 12th, and it is 6:02 in the a.m. I am tired. I am tired and I'm very sore. I worked very hard yesterday. It's very hot and humid here, and I have a very physical outside job. And even when I'm inside, well, even when I'm inside, I'm actually outside because there's no air conditioning or heat or anything. Winters, it's not so bad because I work in a factory, and so the equipment creates ambient temperature, which keeps the building kind of warm. In the summertime, though, there's no air conditioning and there's doors we open and stuff. But if the wind's not really blowing from the right direction, it gets pretty hot and humid and stanky and nasty. And then I came home. We're having a birthday party this weekend for two of my little ones. Pearl, who turns 4, and Zachary, who turns 2. And my wife has a daycare she runs out of our home. And one thing that, one thing that's kind of a challenge about that is that it's one thing to have your own kids in your house, and it's another thing to have a bunch of other kids on top of it in your house. And so kids they get in a hurry because they want to go back to playing or whatever, and so the bathroom door went through a period where it was getting slammed a lot. And years ago I installed solid oak doors, figuring they would help insulate and help soundproof a little bit, and it'd be a nice upgrade for the house and whatnot. What I didn't take into consideration is because they're solid oak, they have a lot of mass, they're very dense, and so when a child goes and slams the door, there's a lot more force behind it, and so they actually have slammed them so much that the jambs got off kilter, and I had to go to work pretty hard on it last night to get it back into whack. And it was a challenge, and we're not running the air conditioner in the house, and so I got soaked pretty bad. I was soaked in sweat. I think I was more soaked at home last night working on that door because where it was at in the house there was no airflow than I was at work. I don't know. But you gotta, I learned I gotta have patience with stuff like that. Last night, just stay focused on what you're trying to do. And I'm not a carpenter by any means, so a lot of this fixing up house stuff, when I grew up, my dad had bought a brand new house, so didn't really ever see anything go wrong. Didn't really work on stuff like that. This is one of those moments where I wish my grandfathers were still around, because I could probably call them over and be like, hey, how do I do this? And they'd be like, oh, zip, 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 and done in 15 minutes or whatever. So it's a challenge, and I like it because, it's a challenge, and it's something that I can do and something I can learn, it's something I get better at. I don't want to be, I don't want to be some foofy guy, who just calls and pays to have everything done. For me, I like to do things myself. If you don't like to do it yourself, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Some guys like to work more with their brains than with their hands. But because of the heat and the humidity and the hard work and everything, and the soreness, I was a little cranky, and my kids were cranky, and they got really whiny last night, and I kind of had to check Pearl. Somebody had something, she thought it was hers, thought that because it was pink, only she should be able to play with it, and then whined to no end. I actually had to send her to her room. It was very rare. Sent her to her room. I think she finally calmed down and came back downstairs. But it was towards the end of the night. It was a long day for everybody. My stepson Kane, he's 15, and he's had a friend over for a few days now, and they've been vegging out on Xbox a lot. And one thing I've noticed with my kids is the more Xbox video games they play, it's like they get addicted to it, and so when you ask them to step away from it, they get like attitude. And then I'm sure there's also a lot of passion that goes in the gaming. You know, I didn't really grow up with video games. My parents didn't really let me have video games. And even then when I did get them, they were on a computer, and the computer was in their room. So it was like, you know, I just didn't. It was something I didn't get into. I didn't have Nintendo. I had a Commodore 64. If that makes sense to anybody. It was a computer where the whole computer was in the keyboard, and you just plug it into a TV. We actually had a monitor, so it was fancy. It looked really nice. Yeah, Commodore 64. So, but I was working on that door, and there was a couple of times last night where I just needed another man's help. And so I only would call Kane to help me when I absolutely needed that second pair of hands, because I knew he was trying to spend time with his friend, and even though I needed his help. And he came downstairs, and he had the look on his face. He didn't, you know, he doesn't know attitude, but then later on, he's got his chores he's supposed to do, and I got done with my stuff, and I come walking through the house, and one of the things he's supposed to do is wipe down the table, and so I called him, and then I had to call him again. And then he was coming down the stairs, and I was like, you know, he's like, you didn't finish your stuff, and he had a look and attitude, and then I told him, I was like, hey, you need to get this done, please. And it's their job to wipe down the table. It's not a big deal. Let's get it done. And I was upset. I was a little upset. There was tone in my voice. And then I was like, did you get the garbages out? Because that's the other thing. And he was like, yeah. That was the end for me, man. I hollered at him with, like, no attitude. No attitude, dude. Teenagers. Wow. And then so later on in the night, you know, I was changing the diaper, and I'm going to go put the diaper in the diaper pail, and it was full. And so I was like, I calmed down. I was like, Kane, honey, didn't you say you changed the garbages? Yeah. I was like, well, this one here's full. How many diapers have we changed since? I asked my wife, how many diapers we changed since blah, 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 you know. I don't know. I thought maybe there was a run of diapers or something. You never know. I don't know. It's for me, it's one of those things being a dad. It's like, I don't like to yell. I don't like to scream. I really don't even like to lecture. Anymore, it's just kind of like, I'll say a few words. If it's something big, I'll sit down and have a calm talk, but I really don't like yelling anymore. I don't like raising my voice. I don't like it. And so when I do, it's pretty rare anymore. And I don't know. Last night, I don't know. Sometimes I wish I had the ability to push the pause button, but you know, if I had the ability to push the pause button, I probably wouldn't get so ramped up as I do sometimes. So, you know, I sat and reflected on it and prayed about it this morning. It's about all really you can do, and just trying to find the right way. You know, you can't let your kids just run rampant. You got to keep them in check, and sometimes you got to put your foot down. You don't want to put your foot down every day, though, because then otherwise it just doesn't mean anything. You know. I don't know. So, that's my life, and that's all I got to say about that.